preparation. So they'll ask you a question, and it can be on absolutely anything, and you've got to answer it straight away. No prep at all. So the question they asked me was this: Kyle, if a zombie apocalypse happened in Scotland, where would you go? What? I could not believe it, but I had to go up to the front and speak in front of all of these strangers that I did not know. So I found myself up there, I'm staring out at all these people, and my mind is just blank. My legs feel like jelly, and I just feel like I am frozen to the spot. But I come out with 2 words: the pub. And if you don't know what the pub means, ask your parents and they will tell you. It is not a good answer to that question. And that was it. I said 2 words and I sat back down. And that was my first ever experience. And when I sat back down, I thought to myself, wow, I've got a real visceral fear of public speaking. And I've got to make a decision here. Option 1, I run away from this club and I hide from public speaking for the rest of my life. Or option number 2, I face it. Okay? I face it and I try to improve at it and overcome this fear. And I'm glad to say I took option 2, and it was literally the best decision I've ever made in my life. From then, I started investing a lot of time in this. I looked at great speakers and the things that they had achieved and the things they were doing in their speaking and started implementing that into my game. I also started practicing more. I got up on that stage more, did more of those questions, just trying to get better a little bit each time. And eventually momentum built up and I started getting more opportunities. People were asking me to speak at certain places. I said yes, it was scary, but I did it and it went well. And it led to more work and more work. Then I started competing and I launched my business and I brought out the book and I did all of these things only because I took that step. And I said, yes, I need to invest time in this. So that would be my biggest piece of advice to you. If you're struggling with public speaking, if you're afraid, you need to invest time to get better at it. You need to practice. That's what I would say. The more you put in, the more you will get out of it. Now, what I want to do today is, of course, public speaking has changed a lot in the last 12 months. It's no longer in person, it's now online. So I want to give you some tips for speaking online because it's very different to in person. When you're in person and speaking, the audience, there's almost an expectation for them to listen to you. Online, that's not the case. I mean, online, you guys won't even show me your faces. You know what I mean? There's no, I can not expect anything from you. You could be doing anything right now. You could be looking at your phone. You could be looking at emails. You could be at the fridge. So many distractions around here. So how can I hold your attention? How can I earn your attention? That's got to be the question. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do this. And the key is to keep your screen, your window, okay, active. You need to keep your window active. You see, if my screen goes still, if I become a talking head like this, the presentation's less engaging. Or if I just put a slide up and stay on that slide for the entire time, it's very boring. But if I keep this window active, it's engaging. So how can you keep your window active? Give me some comments in the chat. How do you think you could make this screen, this window active? Type some answers into the chat or unmute if you'd like and tell me. I'd love to hear some voices too. Asking questions to the audience, absolutely, yeah. Engaging the audience, 100%. What else have we got? Let's keep giving ideas. Put them in the chat here. Any more? I'm looking for at least one more and then I'll move on. I can wait longer than you, remember. Sharing some experiences. Yeah, great. Mia, you are my favorite here. You are my favorite. You are owning this. I love it. I love it. Yes, these are all really good suggestions. So let me give you 3 more. Now, one thing you two could do to keep the screen active while you're presenting, and it's something you've heard before, is you could use slides. Okay? You could use a PowerPoint, you could use a slideshow. But here's the thing, if you're going to do that, you're going to need lots of different slides. You need to be changing the slide every 30 seconds to keep the screen active, because if you stay on one slide, it gets boring after a while. So you need to keep changing it to keep it active. Another thing you could do is you could use props. Okay? You could use props. Now, props are good because they show a different visual. Like if I'm telling a story about a book, it's far more effective if I show you that book instead of just telling you about that book. So it makes it a little bit more engaging when you can show different things on your screen. And you could use little cards like I've got here to make your points instead of just saying them. If you've got a flip chart, if you're into that, you could have that behind you, or a whiteboard, and you could write stuff. Just little things like that make the presentation a little bit more interactive. Now, the third thing you could do to keep your window very active is use the physical space. Use the physical space. Now, what I mean by this is using the environment you have. And one of the best things you could do is stand up. You could stand up. Now, let me ask you, and type your answer in the chat or unmute if you want. Why do you think standing when speaking online is better than sitting? Why is standing better than sitting? Type your answers into the chat, please. Yes, because of body language, right? You can literally express more. Mia, again, nailing it. You're nailing it. Yes, you can use your gestures, Edda, 100%. You can do all of these things much better when you're standing. If you're sitting, you're restricted. You're stuck in one place. But when you're standing, you can use more body language. You can literally move left or right. You could move back a little bit. You could move forward and closer to be more personal as well. It also helps with your breathing. So you'll be speaking with more confidence as well. Overall, it will give you more energy by standing. So that's a great way to keep your window active. And of course, you've got your hand gestures as well. The gesture I would recommend is the open palm gesture, because this is synonymous with feelings of trust and integrity. Just to give you the contrast, if I start presenting with closed fists like this when making my point, I seem a little bit more threatening and intimidating to you perhaps right now. But if I have open palms, it's a lot nicer to look at. And hopefully you can see the difference there between this and this. So think about including that in your presentation as well. The key thing overall is you have to keep this window, this square window, active. Whether people are watching on a phone or whether they're watching on a screen, this needs to be active to keep them engaged. Now, what I'd love to do is move on to a bit of a Q&A now. So if you've got any questions about public speaking in general, about online or offline, I'd love to answer them now. People can unmute, you can put questions in the chat. Anything you want to ask, please fire away.
Can I ask my first question, as everyone might be typing?
Please do.
All right, so I see this from a lot of people that ask when we have different workshops, that this habit of making like all the time. So I think they're like also use some parasitic words like and such. Mm-hmm. So how can we avoid that?
Yeah, so like filler words effectively are exactly what we're talking about. So you know, so all of these things. Yeah, it's a great thing. And I think we've all felt them, experienced them at some point. I always say this, the best way to remove your filler words is to sit down and record yourself speaking. Record yourself speaking and then watch that back. Because what you need to do to overcome those filler words is you first need to see them. It's fine someone else telling you, but if you can see them yourself with your own eyes, then you are going to be more motivated to get rid of them. So that's the first step. Look out for them, see them, record yourself. Then secondly, next time that you're speaking, try to consciously think about when those filler words come up. And when they do, instead of saying pause. Okay? Try to pause. Allow there to be space between your words. You don't have to speak all the time. Silence can be powerful. So include that instead of your as and your ums. But that's the first step. Record yourself, watch yourself, and then try to have more pauses when you speak. Does that help?
Yeah, a lot.
Good. Excellent. Yeah.
I think we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, do you want to read them out, and then I can just sort of answer them?
Okay, sure.
Work it like that.
So we've got one question that says, how minutes should an online session last?
Good question. It really depends what you're trying to cover. Obviously, it's harder to keep people's attention online, so you want to shorten things compared to in person. I would say if you're just starting out, try to keep your online sessions to about 15 minutes. But if you want to have a longer session, then an hour max. It takes a lot to keep people engaged for 3 hours online. So
what about online lectures? Because they kind of last longer.
Yeah, so like a lecture online. Yeah, absolutely. So then I would say 45 minutes to an hour for an online lecture. Try to keep it to that. If it has to be longer, then fine. But if you're going to make it longer, then think about doing things like breakout rooms or audience interaction, asking questions, getting other people to speak, just to mix it up a little bit instead of just yourself speaking for the whole hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours. That's what I would say.
Okay, I'm moving on to the other question. I have this bad habit of speaking really fast, and I'm concerned people can't understand what I'm trying to say. Do you have any suggestion for me to control my speaking pace? That's what the other person.
Yeah, sure. So usually when people think they're speaking too fast, they're not. So I would recommend, once again, recording yourself and watching it back, and then you will see if you are speaking too fast or not. And then secondly, I think it's important to first take a breath, right? So breathe deep and try to just slow things down a little bit. Think about taking your time. Instead of imagining speaking to hundreds of people, imagine speaking to one person. I imagine you're much slower when you speak to one and compared to many. So that's what I would say. First, record yourself. Make sure that you are speaking too fast, because it might not even be a problem. And then secondly, imagine speaking to one instead of hundreds.
Okay, and I think we have one more question. Sometimes people body shame when we stand in front of the crowd. How do we deal with that?
Body shame, as in criticize how you look. Is that what that means?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, well, that's a really interesting question. I think this is a debate, right, between the external and the internal. The external being what people think, how people are viewing you, how people are reacting to your speech, and then the internal, how you feel. And I think you'll learn, in life, I've certainly learned, that you want to place less value on this, on the external, on what other people think, on what other people say. Where the real value is the internal. What is important is how you feel about your body, about your image. And if you can work more on that to create a positive self-image, then all of that noise out here will not matter. People are always going to say things. People are always going to say mean things. It's up to you in terms of how you handle it. You can choose whether that, holds you back or in fact propels you forward as fuel. So that's what I would say. Focus more on your internal, how you feel about yourself, than what all that other noise is outside.
Okay, I think we have no other question.
Brilliant. They were coming quick fire. That was good fun. Yeah. Okay, well, if there is any other questions, feel free to email me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just type in my name, Kyle Murtagh, and I'll be there on LinkedIn or on YouTube as well. Kyle Murtagh, I have a YouTube channel. You can send me messages for comments and questions as comments, and I'll answer them. And my email is kyle@confidencebydesign.com. I might actually put that into, yeah, I can't see what's on your phone, Mia. I'm sorry. It's too dark. It's too dark. I'll put this in the chat right now in case anyone's got any further questions that they would like to ask. One other thing I wanted to tell you about is if you are looking for a resource to help with your speaking, you can check out the book if you want, 5 Pillars of Effective Public Speaking. It's on Amazon and Audible as an audiobook as well. And that might help you as a resource with your speaking going forward. It's my LinkedIn profile. Well, yes, let's connect. Press the button, Mia. Let's get it done. Let's lock it down. But overall, my key message for you today is invest in your speaking. Do not run away. Do not avoid your speaking like I used to. Invest in it, face it, address it, work on it, because that's ultimately how you are going to improve, not only as a speaker, but as a person as well. Edge, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you very much, Kyle. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm sure everyone did so. So thanks once again for being with us today. All what you talked about was really very accurate to me personally, and I'm sure everyone felt the same. So it was great to have you in here and everyone as well. I wish you have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll head off then, guys. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for having me. And let's connect on LinkedIn if we haven't already. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye. So thank you, everyone, once again. I hope we can meet in other workshops as well. I wish you a great day ahead.